this video, I'll just go through this 938 healer round that I had. I'll do a little bit of a VOD review, talk about these late waves, talk about a plan that we had, what happened during the wave, and some observations that I made. So, going into wave 5, it's a full stock wave. And so the first thing of note is this 12-second healer, because if it's on the collector, you do the normal code. If it's on you, you do the swap code. So you gotta tell very quickly if 12 is on you or the collector. And the easy way to do that is to see if it's following your animation as you're running up to this first healer. This 12-second, here, look at me run up to this first healer, and then think about how the 12 would be. So Scorch is standing still, so if it was on him, then the 12 would just look the same way the entire time. Whereas in this case right here, you see how the 12 is like following my exact animation? That's how I can tell that it's on me. So now I'm going to go do the swap code where I put 8 food on this first one, and then I got to RP this one starting at 21. So when this 18 spawns, I'm trying to put 4 food on it, and then I'm looking at this healer at the same time as I do that. I'm gonna see if it goes on me, on Velo, or on Scorch over there. And so the purpose of doing that is because I'm gonna play a little bit differently if it's on me. If it's on me, then what I could do is I could put 4 on this healer, and then by the time I do the 4th one, the healer's gonna come in like this, and I'm gonna be standing here, and I can just RP it as I'm waiting for the 24 to come down right at the same time. And that's the best case scenario. But what happens and by the way, Scorch is running up here, you can see that, because if this 12-second was actually on him, then what would happen is that by running up here, he would bring it realer just to this location, so that if I'm standing right here, I could poison it and then be ready for the 24. Basically the same as if it was on me. That's why you run up there as collector at this time. So this 12-second is on Velo, so it's going to be to the south. I'm not going to be able to poison it. And this 18 is going to the northwest, so I'm putting my 3rd and 4th food on it. That's why I'm like, okay, I'll worry about this 12-second later. I'm going to focus on this 24 spawn right now. This needs 6. And as I'm using my last foods, I'm looking at this 12-second healer to see, again, it's going off a runner. And I want to see who it aggroes. Me, which would be the best case scenario. Scorch would be okay because he's standing a little bit far north. And if it's on Velo again, then I need to focus on how I'm going to play, because I need to make sure to RP before it takes too many 3s. And I see right there that it's on me, so that's the best case scenario, because what I'm going to do is this 30 is lured, I'm going to trap it, and then this 12-second healer is going to come up to me, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to time my RP on it so that I RP it at the same time as it touches me. Because if I move too early, then I'm going to go down to the south, and then this 30 might get unlured, it might go somewhere this way. Whereas if I move too late, and if I'm spamming this 30 too much, then by the time this already poisons me, it might wander off in a different direction, and then it might cause more problems. So look at how I time this very precisely. I wait for it to stand right next to me on the exact tick, and then I go back to spamming the 30 because it's lured. That way I keep the lure, and I get the RP on the 12. And that's how you get the 45 in this kind of situation. So for wave 6, we're doing a 57, except I'm doing it slightly differently. I'm going to do a 4x stack, or ordinarily you do like 3x left click. And the code is a little bit different. So the code is like, you do 6-5 on the first 2, and that's normal, but now you do 4-5. And then at 57, you do 3-4. And because these last 2 healers, they need more food, you need to kill them at 54 because you're trying to get 55 if you get red eggs. So these 2 like dead RPs need to be dead at 54. But with this one, if you're going for 57, they can just die at 57, so you don't need nearly as many food. And so what we're doing as a team is that we've agreed that if you want to get that code off, the 6-5-4-5 for the 55 potential, then you need none of the healers to bounce. Otherwise, you're not going to be in time. And so what we see right here is that I do the 3 and then I do the 5 right here, but it bounces. So because it bounces, if I was standing on this tile, I would be 2 tiles away from this tile so I can get there in 1 tick. But because this one bounced 1 tile northwest, I go to this tile. And not only does it mean that I waste time moving to use the last food on this 12 second, but it also increased the distance back to this first tool by another tile, so it goes from 2 tiles to 3 tiles. So instead of taking 1 tick to get back, it takes 2 ticks to get back. So when I need to put 3 more on this first healer, I don't have the time to do that anymore to get 55. That's why we go over to a 57 when my team sees that this healer bounces. What they do on 57 is they stand on the east hand side, so that when the 24 spawn ends up happening, it goes like this and I wait for it down in this tile. But if we go for 55, Velo's going to stand on this row and Scorch is going to be back over there. And then I'll be poisoning the healer right as it spawns, right in front of it. And so even if it's on Scorch or Velo, it lines up perfectly with the lure, so that it lines up right at the spawn. Otherwise, if I try to poison it right next to the spawn and they're on the east side, it's just going to slide out to the side like this. So because it bounced, we're going to revert back to the 57 code. And from here, this is just normal 57, meaning that you do a 4x, and then you go 1 tile diagonally like this, and then you want to click exactly when the timer says 42. That way, if you click on that exact tick, you're going to end up poisoning it from the north. And that lets you poison it with better timing. See, it's poisoned at 45.0, and then when the second one comes down, it's poisoned at exactly 48.0. That means that both the auto poisons are going to be on the 0.0 tick, so it's going to be 51, 54, and 57. Whereas if you poison it at a different location, it will take 1 tick longer to get there, or 2 ticks longer. Let's say you poison it at, instead of 48, you poison it at 49.2. Then all the auto poisons are going to be 49.2, 52.2, and 55.2, and 58.2. But if you're trying to get 57, that means you're not going to get that last auto poison. You need to use an extra manual food to make up for that 4 damage. And that's why this kind of river banding technique is so good. So yeah, this ends up just being 57. And, you know, we're shooting greens. It was blue and then it was green, so we didn't even get red, so it wouldn't have even mattered if we got the 6545 code off for the 55, because you need red eggs anyway. And then wave 7, it's a triple because it's meat. Code's going to be 2662, basically the same as the normal wave 7, but you do 2 on the 24. Scorch does this is cooler. So ordinarily what you do is you lure it on this row and then just like wait for me to poison it and then bring it back here instantly. But what Scorch is doing is that by standing here, he's also in range of the 12. And that's kind of what his intention is, because if the 12 is on him, what he would do is he would wait for me to put 6 food on it, and then he would move to the west. So as I'm spamming this one, he is already getting ready to get out to the side. And what he would do is he would make this first healer go lure into the crevice like normal, but he would time it so that he starts going west at the same time as I use my last foot on this one, so it doesn't mess anything up. But it does increase the chance that it's lured, so there's less chance of it bouncing. That's a little technique you can do, but it does make you a little bit later to the eggs, so it's usually a good idea to only do it when it's red, or you can do it on green, or maybe even blue if you know that your attackers are like reliable, they're gonna get eggs down for sure. In that case, it's a good idea. Yeah, this 18's worked pretty nicely. And then here you can see how Velo went 2 tiles. He went 2 tiles this way, so that when this 24 spawns, he's just in line with me. just as I put this 2 food on it, because if he stood on the trap, then what would happen is I would put the 1 food and then the healer would slide out this way. But by standing here for an extra tick, the healer would stay in this spot as I poison it twice, and then he instantly goes back. Just for that 1 second. It didn't matter in this case because the 24 was on me, but that's just a good little micro tech if your healer's trying to go for 63. You need 26 tofu, so I keep an extra worm because, like, if I mess up with spam or if the X ends early for some reason, then if I could get lucky and the call after that could be worms, and then I could salvage a wave 7. That's still good enough. Right here, let me back up that slightly. When I go back to the restock, I'm looking at which healer is the one I need to poison. This healer right here, I know that based on the defender strat that Velo's doing, there's going to be a runner stack on this tile over there. Like, that's where Blug 7 is. 1 sec. And so, I'm assuming that the 24 is here, but you gotta be very careful because there might be a stack of healers that load onto the same runners. They end up being a perfect stack of 2. That's why I right click it, because it might be the top one or it might be the bottom one. You don't know until you see the HP bars. The HP bars didn't show yet, but as soon as something takes damage from a poison, which is in a tick, it's at 42, then I'll know for sure. So that's why I right click it first to get some more information. So here I see that based on the right click menu, it's just 1 and it's a 24, so I know that this is the one I want. But I right clicked because there was a chance that it was actually a stack of 2 healers, and I gotta make sure I got the right one. So this is all normal. I put 3 food on this, get ready to spam. So I've noticed, like, after watching myself and comparing it to different people, my right click spam is a little bit different than and before I get into that, notice this is a little macro thing you can do where if you orientate your camera facing mostly to the south, maybe like at least diagonally to the southeast. Oh, 1 moment. What I was saying was, if you have your camera to the southeast, then you could get an extra left click in before these 2 healers totally stack. And what I mean by that is, look at how when I'm doing this last left click, here's the click right there. I do it just a few milliseconds, well, a little bit more than that, until it perfectly stacks. That's how you get this 3rd left click off, and having that 3rd left click is really helpful because then that means you don't need to right click spam as much, so it makes it a lot easier. And then for the right click spam itself, I like to keep it very rhythmic, meaning that I try to break the tick down into 3 equal segments of 200 milliseconds each. And the first 200 milliseconds is you click on the food and then you go to the healer. And the next 1/3 of it is you right click the stack and then you go down and you click. And then the last 1/3 is you go back to the next food. And I try to keep it very rhythmic and smooth that way. And that is as opposed to a different kind of way where you do it, where you flick very quickly to the food to the healers, and then like you go into the menu and then you do it kind of slowly. And then after you do that, you quickly go back to the food. I find that a little bit harder. So I try to just keep it as rhythmic as possible. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then this wave 8, this is probably the most interesting round for me watching this back, because this code it's like a world record only code. We're trying to get 67.2, and stuff goes wrong in this code because there's a bounce that we usually just like, if something bounces with these full stock cards, usually just reset, don't worry about it, just go back to wave 1 and try again until you get some nice RNG or get some good lures. But in this case, it bounced at the very end. Let me show you. So on this first healer, second healer is on me. I need to put 7 in a row without it bouncing, which is kind of like a 50-50 of it happening, to be honest. So far so good. 5, and then on the 6th one it bounces, and then on the 7th one I use it. And then I can just barely poison this 18 on time. This is different than a usual wave 8, because in a usual wave 8, I would have already RP'd this lured one already, and I would have been trapping this 18 so I could spam it more easier. Here's the normal wave 8. But look, I get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here because it's lured nicely. I RP this one that's lured, and then I can put 4 food. I put 3 food, and then I RP this again, and then I use the 4th one right there. And then after I poison this 24 spawn, I RP it, and then I RP the lured one again, and then the 30 spawns are in the cape, and then I have to time it with the 36 RP, and that's the whole first call right there. I didn't get enough food off in this one because I had to do my 6th and 7th while moving, so basically I lose 2 ticks that I would spend using more food on different healers, and I don't get this one lured, so I have to continue moving in order to get this this food off. So I try to put 3 on it, and I know that it needs a 4th one, but if I continue to chase it, then I might be late for this 24 spawn that comes out, and I need to still RP this one several times, so I try to do that. So I do it twice, and this is a kind of unusual situation. I haven't gone in this situation in world record attempts until this point, so I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of improvising. Sometimes I try to tell from my inventory like how many food I have left in inventory, if I'm doing the code correctly, if there's something wrong. And at this point I thought it was correct, but I think later in just a second I realized that it was wrong and I was missing 1 food. But I know that in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I need to RP this 18-second healer at some point. The 24 spawn is just spawning, it has an RP timing at 30, and this first healer that's lured has an RP timing at 31.2, but I don't know how many food are missing. I think it's at maybe 0 or 1. So I'm just going to try to focus on the 24 right now. It's on me, and it has the RP timing at 30. After I use this 4th food, I'm hovering the 5th food because what I'm thinking in my mind is this healer, it might move on to this runner, and it might not. I don't really know because that's kind of at the max range, I would say. So I didn't know if it would, but my plan was to, if it stays still, I would just wait and I would just poison it so that it lands at 30. But if I see it aggro the runner, what I would do is I would click a tick earlier if I can, so that I move, and then because the movement takes an extra tick, then it would also land at 30. And that's exactly what happens. I see it aggro the runner, and I react as fast as I can so that I move as early as possible because the movement takes a tick by itself, and then this food lands at 30, which is exactly what I want, because then I can RP this first healer, and now I'm good to go, except for the fact that at this point I should have what I was saying about remembering how many food you're supposed to have in your inventory that's left. I have 8, but I should have 6. This 30 spawn needs 6, so that means I'm missing 1 on this 6 second and 1 on the 18 second right here. So I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do this? So I put in 4 food. This has a 36 RP timing. There's a couple options here. One thing you could do is you could wait until 36, which is in 2 ticks from now because it's 34.8. And then poison at 36, and then poison this, and then poison the 18 down there to the south. But I thought that was too slow, so I thought of a different method, which I think is optimal, but I'm not 100% sure. After I put this 5th food, my plan is to poison this first healer and take advantage of the fact that this 30-second was on me. And because it's on me, look at how I poison it initially. I start from down here and then I run up and I get it. If you poison it like that, something called residual pathing, you gotta take that into account, meaning that if you run from a spot and then you poison the healer that's coming right at you, the healer still, even though it poisons you, it still thinks that it should be going here because that's where you were the last time it checked where you were to try to target you. And B5 has a video all about this. You can look at that. So basically, even though I'm standing next to it, the healer's destination, until it gets, updated by just RNG, random RNG, it's gonna be on this tile. Well, rather, it's gonna be on this tile because I'm standing on this tile, according to the healer. So it's gonna try and poison me from this tile right here. And so I take advantage of that fact by going for this RP on the 6 second, knowing that while I do that, the healer is going to come down to this original tile that it should be going to in the first place by targeting me while I was standing here when I poisoned it for the first time while running to it. And I anticipated that after I poisoned this 6 second, the healer would end up standing directly next to me so that I could poison it instantly and then run south. And that's what happens. And then I can poison this 18 without losing any more extra ticks. And I thought that was a really, really good first call, especially because I improvised it. I never had that situation before, and I felt like I did the correct solution. This is still 1 tick slower than this version. So this is the normal version. There's a 30 RP, I go back, and then we got 6 food left on just this 30 spawn. I did lose a tick because I didn't think it would go on this runner. I thought it would go on this runner. So I do a little walking, so I actually poisoned it at 36.6. So that's 1 tick lost. And this is 1 tick faster than this one. And so what you ordinarily do is after you restock, you go up here, and then these two layers are split like this, where I'm standing here blocking both of them so I can poison both of them at the same time. And what I do is I just spam this one until it's done. I keep track of the splash damage, because if I get 3 splash damage, then I know I'm good. So there's 1 right there already. So what I'm doing is I'm counting the spam that I'm doing, because I need 13 food, and I use the rest on this one. And then I'm also counting 1, 2, 3 for the splash that I need. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 2 splash, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, the 3rd splash happened right there, and the rest are on the cannon one that's being spammed. That's the 67.2 right there. However, in this one, I'm 1 tick slower than that, and if you're 2 ticks slower than the ideal pace, then this kind of lure where you split the healers in a little corner, it doesn't work anymore. So I have to stack them instead. And so I try to balance this out at this point. This is another improvisation pretty much, but if the cannon is spamming the top one, I should be spamming the bottom one with the right click, try to balance out the HPs. And then I noticed that this dead healer is approaching the stack. It's going to enter the stack, so I'm going to try and... Right now I'm thinking about how I'm going to deal with this when it enters the stack. And so I'm thinking that this dead one will either be the first one or the second one, the first or second option inside the stack of 3, but I don't know which. But I think that the 3rd option will probably be one of these healers. And so I just go for the 3rd one, and then it turns out that it's the correct option, and I can tell based on the bouncing. See, watch the bouncing HP bar of the dead one. That's how you can tell that it's the top one. See how it's bouncing? And then because it's bouncing, I know that the 3rd one is the one I need, and the 2nd one is also one that I need. And then at that point, I know which is which, so I just try to balance out with my remaining food to have them die as close to each other at the same time. as much as I can. Ideally on the same tick, but one tick apart is also could be as good as it gets. So that's what I do, and they die one tick apart. 68.4 finish. I think that was a flawless wave. I think, but I could be wrong. Really proud of that wave though. Wave 9, you do a 4x left click. The way wave 9 works is that you need both blue and red to get 72. If you get blue and green, then you get 75 best. So you need both red and blue. So it's a little bit annoying when it comes to that RNG. Not only do you need just the blue, but you need both eggs to be correct on wave 9 already. And the way this wave works is this first healer is going to get spammed a bunch so that Scorch can blue it later on. And I'm also going to try and get the rest of these healers to die on somewhat even time. We're going for 75 end here, so I'm going for this 18-second RP. This 18 spawn, I only put 2 on it because it's going to be RP'd in the second call as my last food. The 18 spawn healer is kind of the key to this wave. If you know what's going on with it, then everything else is going to fall into place. So like I said, this gets spammed with the RP timing, and then you need to get 7 food straight on this 24 healer, which is a bit of an RNG check, because if it's on you and it bounces, then I won't say it's GG, because this 24, it doesn't care about, like, none of the reserves are using the 24, but you still gotta kill it for 75, or 72. So if you don't put all 7 food on it, you're gonna have to RP it sometime during the restock, and that's gonna take up a couple seconds at least, I imagine. Right here, I do this little camera twitch because I wasn't sure if I miscounted or not, like if I forgot something here. But as I was using my last food, I realized that it's actually a correct amount. I have 1 left, and I need it for the 30 spawn with the shrink, so I know that I'm good. And here, I'm keeping an eye on this 18 healer the whole time. My last food in this wave, until I restock, is a 36 spawn happens right here. I poison it, instantly go to the 18. It has a 39 timing, but the distance between here and the trap is about 3 seconds. So it's going to line up perfectly. Like if I poison the 36 right as it spawns, and I have a 39 timing, I'll run there for about 3 seconds, and then I'll just poison it right at 39. That's the ideal situation, and I think that's what occurs. But here, look at this. The 18 and the 24 stack. So I'm like, damn. I need to get this correct, or else the wave's over. And so what I do is, as soon as the 36 spawns, I try my best to right click this stack as soon as possible, because I know that the 18 is the top one in the stack because it's standing still. But if it starts moving or something else happens to it, or maybe something else joins the stack, then it's going to be different. I need to figure it out again, and that might mess me up. So I'm trying really hard to get this right click off before they start moving, which I do. And I know it's the top one that I need, and I get it. And now Scorch is going to blue the egg, and I'm going to restock, and we have red eggs. So now it's a lot like wave 8, kind of. You have your 2 like middle HP guys, this guy and this guy, then you have your reserve. So I'm trying to do some right clicks here, try to kill for 72. I poison this one so that it ticks 4 while I spam the reserve. I'm very quietly thinking about this one on the side, because I'm pretty sure it does 72, but it might not. I got to see if it does while I'm spamming, and I see that based on this HP, it's definitely gonna die, and yeah, it is 72. And then for wave 10, it's a 3x ALK. This is a code that's also made pretty shortly before this run. maybe like a month prior. And the way this code works is that you put one on the first one. It's kind of like wave 7 in the sense that the collector is going to go all the way down over there. I'll layer it behind some mushrooms so that in the second call, I'm going to go all the way down there and RP it till it's dead. And that saves a lot of time. And then you're going to take advantage of the fact that this 18-second is loaded really nicely between this wall and Velo luring it, and a runner coming this way just to relure it as well. The 18 is pretty unlikely to move. That's why you spam it the most. Ordinarily in normal codes, you either spam the first or the second hero to get your first spawns out. But it's actually very good in this wave 10 to spam the 18, just because it's such an ideal position. So you need 9, and there's 9 food right there. While I'm spamming this 18, I'm looking at this 12 second where it's going, because it bounced. I need to RP it at 27. So I'm looking at my field of view, like 50% of my attention is here on the spam, and 50% is looking at this 12 and where it's going. And as soon as it exits my field of view, I look at the minimap. 50% of my attention is here on the minimap. And here I see it's stuck at logs. So my plan is, okay, after I do this 24 and I finish poisoning it, I'm gonna run to the west and hopefully RP this 12 second before the call change. But at the last second, the 12 second comes into vision again. I didn't expect that to happen. So I go for the poison, but I miss it just slightly. Would have been so great if I got that. Here, look at this. I've clicked the tofu, I'm using it, and then look how close I am, but I'm not. I misclick barely. Look at the top left, you see it? Look at when it disappears. That's when I click. And right there. Yep. I click here instead of on the healer, and that messes me up because in my mind I think I've already clicked it, but I made a mistake, so now I gotta correct it by using it again. And that takes up a couple ticks, but it should still be good because this is a very robust code. You can be late and it's still 66. Yep, so here's the healer that Scorch lured, RP it till it's dead. 5x restock, normal stuff. And the way the 66 code is very nice is that you stand in between these two healers, kind of like wave 8 was, on the good example, not on the crazy improvisation one. And then I poison this second one on the exact timing, on the 0.0 tick, the same reason as I talked about on wave 6, where you get the auto poison at the very last second. We are going for 66.0, you get the auto poison if it's lined up. And then after I poison it once, I go back I put all my attention on this first one. I try to kill it by spamming it completely, because what's going to happen next is after I spam this one, I'm going to stand here in between this healer and the third one that's coming right now. So that's why I need to kill this, because otherwise I would have to run here and then run back to finish this one. And anytime you're moving, you're not spamming, so you're losing ticks. That's why I'm trying to kill this first one as soon as possible. And this is standard for 66. This is just the explanation why. Yep, so there it is. You stand right in between there. And the way I think about how much food to use is that I use the first one at this time, and then because this dead one's in the way, I don't want to misclick for some reason, so I instead just do one on the second one, and then I know that this third one needs 6 in total, so you do one is the very first one, and then 5 more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's done, and then I use all my remaining food without counting on this second one, because the first and third are both done. Second one is just gonna die if I keep spamming it. And I see it die, so I use my last food on this third one, even though it doesn't really matter because the auto poison kills it at 65.4. And then after this, it's the egg pass. we can talk about the snowball. I made a video about the snowball. It's a good video. Basically, it's a PID check between the collector and the healer. So, Scorcher's firing the snowball at me at max range. If I step outside of max range, you can tell what the PID is based on which tick Scorch follows me, because he's going to automatically follow me as I run out of range. If it's on the same tick as I run, then that means it's bad PID. But if it were on different ticks, as you can see, look, I'm going to run out, and then he follows me on the next tick. Let me show that again. Look, he throws it at me, I run out of range, and he follows me on the next tick. That's a good PID right there. And what it means is that when he passes me the egg, I can start running before it's even in my inventory. That's the result. That's one free tick saved. See how I click it before I get it even in my inventory? That's what the snowball does. And yeah, that's about it. Hope you got something useful out of this commentary. See ya.